Dan Gallagher, MarketWatch's Dan Gallagher in San Francisco, who's going to tell us a little bit about the iPad 3 and whether it's going to help Apple maintain its lead. Everybody thinks it will. Dan?
Yes. Well, we don't know. We don't exactly know what it's going to look like yet because the event's not till tomorrow. But based on what we're, seeing as far as rumors and such, faster chip, better camera, high definition screen, it seems that Apple's probably going to be able to maintain its strong lead in tablets.
And I mean, how big is that lead today? I guess I was just pulling some Gartner data, and it's still a pretty big lead, right? We've got, in 2011, there were about 64 million tablets sold, and 47 million of them were Apple devices.
Yeah, I think roughly speaking, they comfortably have about 2/3 of the market right now. iSupply had some data for the fourth quarter that shows that when the Kindle Fire came out, they actually leapt to the number 2 spot ahead of Samsung. But Apple was still very comfortably in that 60% plus range for that.
It's a one-horse race.
The Kindle Fire seems to have found a market that didn't really take away a lot from the iPad.
Peter, you were saying it's
a
kind
one-horse
of a
race.
still.
I mean, it's.
I mean, you think I look at the thing that Gartner does do is they say, well, for next year, and I should say for this year, they've got 104 million tablets projected to be sold this year, 69 million Apple.
What we can say comfortably is that the Android tablet, even including the Kindle Fire, has not carved into their market share in any significant way. I think if you went back and looked at the projections from a year ago, you'd see they'd fallen flat. So sort of until an Android tablet, I guess Kindle Fire counts technically as an Android tablet, but for a non-Kindle Android tablet proves that they can sort of cut into the Apple market share, they haven't, right? So no one's yet proven they can do it. It's still Apple's race to lose right now.
And Dan, isn't it possible that we've heard rumors, of course, about a smaller iPad that could come later this year, correct? Could that maybe extend Apple's lead even more by cutting back into the Kindle's business?
That's certainly a possibility. The people I've talked to don't see that as a very strong likelihood right now for a couple of reasons. And one is that even Apple, with its strength in the supply chain, would be really hard-pressed to keep the margins it does and sell a 7-inch tablet $200. Amazon, its business model has it sell these products close to margin, maybe even at a small loss, and make money on the content. And Apple doesn't do that same thing. So I think the more likely possibility I've seen is that the iPad 2 comes down in price and closes that gap that right now is about 60% between the two devices.
Tell me.
And that's much more sort of keeping Apple style. People who pay attention to Apple earnings calls will remember that I think within the last year, Apple came out and said, well, we're never going to do a smaller tablet because we can't. Our software doesn't work that way. The screen it doesn't work on a screen size that way. People who pay attention to Apple a lot say, well, if Apple comes out and says we're not doing it, it means they're doing it. But what we have seen to do is cannibalize their own sales by saying we're going to drop the pricing on an older device. You can get the iPhone 3G or 3GS for $0 right now, and that was a $600 phone just a few years ago. So seeing them drop price on a machine.
We'll get the phone behind us.
We'll get to it eventually. It's a working
somebody's
newsroom.
Gonna pick
it's very
up the number.
exciting.
Yeah, this is live television, guys.
It's very live. But to see them cut prices on an older model would be very much in keeping in what they've done in the past.
I was just gonna. I mean, you're a thrilling personality. No one's paying attention to that, I promise.
No one's picking up that phone.
Talk about, Dan. Tell us a little bit about the playbook. I mean, RIM CEO was in here not too long ago, and he was showing us the playbook and how you can work with multiple applications at the same time, and that was different than the iPad because I got to flip between applications. Is there any prospect for RIM here getting any traction with the playbook?
I don't think there's a lot of people that are willing to bet a lot on it right now, given how poorly the device has sold so far. You can never count anything out. You never know if somebody's going to get the secret sauce right and come out with something that'll get strong sales later. So far, there hasn't been a strong interest in the playbook. I think part of that is just because BlackBerry as a brand has suffered a lot, so that it doesn't have that kind of momentum behind it. And its price difference, it doesn't have that big, huge content ecosystem that Amazon has that it can put behind it. And the third thing is that RIM, as a hardware maker, has to make margin on the device itself. They can't price it at margin the way Amazon does.
Great. Dan, thanks so much for joining us.
Dan.